Knicks family, what's poppin'? Knicks family, what's poppin'? I apologize for the delay. We had a little bit of a technical issue, but we're here now and we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. I got my man Andy with me, and let's talk about Mitchell Robinson, Andy. We're going to break down Mitchell Robinson, what his development, what we think his development should be like for the New York Knicks over the summer. All right, and you can see on the screen already that this guy is a defensive monster. Right, and you know, we're gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about it and why he's a defensive monster and how he can develop to be more than just a defensive monster for the New York Knicks. All right, so Andy, what's up with you, man?
Yeah, what's up, Sam? What's up, guys? Happy to be joining you on the Coach's Corner again. Let's go, bro. We know what Mitch is capable of. Let's tell what we see.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Well, let's start off with this. We know he's a defensive monster and what he can do defensively. Let's talk about. I want to start off with focusing on his strengths, and then we'll go into some ways for him to develop. And I'm not saying for him to develop. When I'm talking about development, I'm talking about from now until the season starts again, right? So I'm not trying to go into 5-6 years down the line. I want to go in increments, small increments. All right. So before we even get to there, let's look at a few reasons why he's a defensive monster. All right, so let's get this on over here. First of all, so let's focus on his defensive strengths. We'll take a look at each one of these things. Let's start off with team defense. Right? I really think that Mitchell Robinson is a good, very good team defender. All right, and I'm going to pull this clip up to show you what I'm talking about. He's a heck of a team defender, I think. All right, so let's pull this up. Let's look at it. And you see it here. I'll let the clip run through for a second, and then we'll get into, making a few, breaking it down just a little bit. All right, I'll get my nothing but Knicks marker up here, and we'll break it down. All right, here we go. So I'll let this go through, and right here you're going to see him on Jason Tatum, and he's going to make a good defensive play here. But we're going to break this down a little bit further. All right, as soon as it gets back to where I want it to be. All right, let's stop it right here and let's rewind this just a little bit. All right, you can see everything good, Andy?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, perfect. Let me make my marker just a little bit smaller. All right, you can see Mitch here. This is why I think he's a really good team defender. You can see Mitch here. He knows he's got, I guess that's PJ Tucker over there in the corner. You can see him looking at the ball, right? And he's flattened out. Now, his positioning, in my opinion, he could be maybe a little bit lower, but he still does a good job of recognizing what PJ Tucker is, right? But he's doing a good job of flattening out, not turning his back towards his man, right? Well, Go ahead and play. Let it go. And you're going to see he sees him. Boom. He comes and helps. He's ready to block. Right? You can see him there. He's got his arms ready. He's got his arms in the motion to get in the air. And we're going to talk about that a little bit when we, break down what he really needs to work on. He's got his arms in motion, ready to get into the air. Boom. Nothing. They pass it out. He recognizes his man. And he's on his way back out to PJ Tucker for the block. Well, he gets in the air, then he gets the block. All right, again, let's find Mitchell Robinson. You see him here. I think that's Jeff Green or so. I don't know. Maybe it's not Jeff Green. I think it's Jeff Green. Mm-hmm. Right? See Mitchell Robinson here. All right, he sees the ball. He can see his man. He's in good position. Right? Ready to play good team defense. All right, boom. And then you see him there. He sees everything that happens, And even though his man is here, he rotates out here to get the open person, trusting that everyone else is going to make the rotations. And in this, you talk about the Knicks defense. In this instance, everybody's in a good position. You see R.J. Barrett under here, kind of not guarding anybody, right? And if it did get swung, he'd probably rotate out to one of these players. Mitch is rotating here. If necessary, Dennis Smith Jr. would rotate there, and everyone would pick up a man. So they did a good job getting in good position. And you see Mitch get out there on the man, block the shot. Right? These are all reasons why he's a good shot blocker. And we showed you this before when we first started breaking this down. You see Mitch. You see Mitch on his man here. Jason Tatum getting the ball. And a good switch. And then Mitch is able to get on to Jason Tatum. And he does a good job of staying on his feet, going one-on-one, and gets the block. Right? Again, Mitchell Robinson, I think, is a really good team defender, man, which makes him a good shot blocker because he's such a good team defender. And that's impressive for a guy who he didn't go to college. Didn't play in college, did a lot of training on his own at home. I think that's really impressive that he's such a good team defensive player. Understands help side defense.
Like you said, he didn't play much team ball in that year before getting drafted, and he's still really, really young. We got to remember that most of these things that he's doing as a team defender, switching, rotating, and stuff like that, basically comes for young guys that don't have that experience in a little bit later in their career, right? And I don't know if you are able to go through the video again, but we saw him on the Houston play where Harden was driving to the left side. He rotated and he was ready on this play. If you're gonna see, he was ready to jump out on Harden, but he didn't. If he would get up in the air, Harden would probably get a foul call, or that switch, rotation to PJ Tucker to block the shot wouldn't be able, he wouldn't be able to make it, right?
Right.
But
so I'll show that again.
Exactly. He didn't jump here.
Right. You see Harden, he goes, boom. He didn't jump.
Yeah.
Right.
If he gets in the air here, it's probably points for Houston. So this is kudos to Mitch and him getting that bit of experience, because in his first games he probably would get a foul call here on him. So. Right.
Exactly. And he did a really good job. He's getting better. He still has a lot to go as far as, staying on his feet, but he's getting better at staying on his feet. I also think that he's like a defensive linebacker for the Knicks. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. He does a really good job at getting behind the defense and seeing everything that's in front of him. All right, so I'm going to pull it up here. Let me give him a little marker on the screen and we'll get it going. All right, so let me get back to it. And you can see him now. And what you're looking at is, you're looking at some screen and roll scenarios with him. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this back. Let's rewind it. And let's start. Bam. We'll start right here. Oh, let me pause it. And you can see off the screen and roll, they're playing the Milwaukee Bucks right here. You can see off the screen and roll, he dips all the way down here in the paint. And one of the reasons he can do that is because he's so long that if they try to do a pick and pop, he can still get out there.
Yeah, and his first step, to get that block, to get, up in the air is really fast. That's why you see many of those blocks when he's like recovering after the jump and the second jump, he has the block. So that's really important for him. And I bet the scouting report on, when attacking Mitch is that he can, jump twice and get that block for you.
Exactly. And you see, so he levels out here in the middle, and this really negates everything when he does that, because this is George Hill with the ball. If George Hill decides to go, he can still help. If he kicks it over to, I guess that's Robin Lopez maybe. If he kicks it over to Robin Lopez, Mitch can still get out there. This really does level everything out. And because he has that length and the ability, like you said, to get up off his feet, get off his toes quickly, you know, it makes him a really good pick and roll defender. Right? But also he's in like a linebacker position where he can really make some decisions as to where to go. When he gets a little bit older, bark out instructions to people, right? In this particular play, he's not fully behind the defense. These guys are behind the defense, but a lot of times he ends up down here behind the defense, and he's able to see things and bark out some instructions to people, right? But he does a really good job in these scenarios, I think. Right? Let me keep it going. Boom. Gets the block. One more time. You see it again. Right? You see Mitch. Oh, let me get my marker. There you go. You see Mitch here. He can see everything that's in front of him. Right? He may not see these guys here. And this is bad spacing by Philadelphia, but I won't go into that. But, you know, he can see everything that's in front of him. And he knows everything that's happening. And he can see this guy here. He can see the ball. Right? So he can make a decision on where he has to go. And as we let it roll, boom, he gets another block. Right? And you'll see it again. You see it again here. I'm not going to stop at this time because I think you know what you're looking at. And he gets the block. And then again, you know, just playing this linebacker position. I'll stop it here, right? Because you can see him. He's back here. He can see everything that's happening in front of him, right? So he can make a decision when to help, where to help, and how to help. And then gets a block, right? I think, I think that's pretty much, I think that's unheralded, you know, that he does that. And, you know, if you have a point guard like Frank, and then you have, you know, assuming that Frank is going to, you know, get a lot of playing time at point guard, or let me not just say point guard, but one of your main guards that's getting a lot of playing time, and then you got a guy in the back that is able to instruct the defense. I mean, that's, you know, that's your starting point for having a good defense, you know, because you got someone strong at the point of attack. And then you got your last line of defense that can erase things by either blocking the shot. And the reason why he gets these block shots is because he's a good team defender. He's a good defensive linebacker. And obviously he's athletic.
Exactly. And you know what? Most of the centers in the NBA, even on the good ones that play on defense, they're going to be glued to the guy on the screen, right? So that's going to make the disadvantage when they pass the screen, because it's going to be the center right in the back of the screen, and two guys, they're going to be almost equally on the line of the court, right? So with Mitch falling back, he sees both of those guys attacking. He can read, you know, the eyes of the guy who's going to pass, if he's going to go, you know, versus him and attack the rack. But if he's I think Robin Lopez really did that. He was on the screens, you know, staying with the screen, so he didn't fall back. He was up high. That would be the situation here. He would be, you know, really on his center, and they would be playing, you know, he would be like catching up with those guys. Now he's just waiting for them and reading the game. So that's a difference that Mitch brings here. And that's, like you said, only, you know, because of his fast jump and length, right? Because he can cover up the few feet there, you know, that he falls back.
Yeah, definitely. He plays the passing lanes well, right? And it's really good for a big guy like him. He really does play the passing lanes well, and is able to get a lot of steals. There's really no need to break this one down, and, you know, I'll show it to you. Right, he does a good job denying the ball. You see him deny the ball here, poke it away. You know, he gets tripped up on the break. You know, so he doesn't get the bucket, but he probably went to the line again, playing the passing lanes. This time he's able to, and he's a much better dribbler than he's showing in these couple of clips here, right? But again, he does a good job playing those passing lanes, being able to get steals and get out on the break. Strong defender, and he can do that because his arms are so long. You see how long his arm? He can reach right around the player. Boom, fast break, gets the dunk. Playing the passing lanes, I think, is definitely one of his defensive strengths. Because of his, and he's agile. Very agile.
You can add that this is a little bit part also of his hustle, right? Because most of the centers wouldn't be interested even in, they could, even if they would deflect the ball, they wouldn't go one-on-one, full court just to get the points. I don't see. I don't recall any centers that probably would be interested to get those 3 points unless it's really a open route to the basket. But Mitch, when he gets that deflection, it goes straight to the front court, and that's an easy layup for him or dunk.
Yeah, and I think this is also something that is overlooked, and it's going to help him as he begins. As he grows, he gets stronger, right? And he starts to pick up less of those fouls. That's one thing that we always complain about, that he picks up fouls. People have noticed this a little bit more, I think, right? But he can block the ball with either hand. And he utilizes that, which to me is really, really good, right? Because a lot of times when centers get fouls, young centers get fouls, it's because they block the ball only with the right hand or only with the left hand, right? But Mitch has the ability to block the ball with either hand, right? You're going to see him here. Boom, it comes down. He blocks it with the left. There, he blocks it with the right. I'm going to bring it back. Show it again. Comes down. Boom. Blocks it with the left. And then almost the same type of play. And he blocks it with the right. Why? Because that's what he needed to do. Right here, you see he gets out. Bring it back just a little bit. He gets out on a jump shooter who's shooting the ball with their right hand, but he contests it with their left, with his left hand. Right? You see him contesting the ball with his left hand. A lot of times, that person closing out would contest with their right hand because they're right-handed. Contest with their right hand, which means they're coming across the body, and then that's how they end up bumping them, bam, here. And you'll notice on this play, because he contests with his left hand, he's able to avoid bumping the body. And let me get my mouse over here. He contests with the left hand. He's able to avoid bumping the body, and he lands on this side of the shooter.
Yeah, he doesn't go straight for the shooter. So
exactly,
he got that sorted. So
right, and so that, and then it allows him also to get back into the play. And when he gets back into the play, guess what? He tries to block it with his right hand. Right, so that to me is boom. Oh, actually, I thought he did try to block it again. Never mind. You'll see it again here. Bam, goes. This time he goes up. Let me bring it back. You'll see if I can pause at the right time. You see he goes up this time with the right hand. All right, so to me, that's a strength of his, the ability to block with the left or the right hand. I think is really good. And when he gets stronger, a little bit smarter, to not always come up off of his feet. He'll pick up less fouls, in my opinion. And the ability to block with both hands, I think, is part of it.
Yeah,
so that's a strength.
From what we saw from season to season, he developed with this, with not getting that much fouls called on him. Because first years he played in some games even like 10 minutes because of foul trouble. Right. Now he can play around 20. So let's hope that this season is going to be only a step further, and he's going to be even better with it. So
yep. Now obviously there's some things that he's going to need to do to develop to really be a defensive stalwart, the defensive monster that he's already a defensive monster, but he's going to need to develop in a few areas, I think, if he wants to be a defensive player of the year or something like that. One, he's got to get stronger. He's got to get stronger. And I'm going to go through, I'm just going to go through this before we get to the actual breakdown. But he's definitely got to get stronger. And that's going to come with time. You know what I'm saying? He's a young guy. He's a young guy. How old is he? 22 now?
Yeah, 22 and a half, I think.
Right? 22 and a half years old. So, that's just going to come with time. Right? That's just going to come with time. And I accidentally had something on your face. I apologize for that. I'll edit it out when we get it on YouTube. That's going to come with time. So he's got to get stronger. I think he's got to work on. He's very good in the team defense. I think he's got to work a little bit one-on-one defense. Not that he's not a good one-on-one defender. He's a decent one-on-one defender. But there are just a few things that he can get caught with, I think, right? And obviously staying on his feet is part of that. All right, and this clip right here, to me, that I'm going to shows all of it. Right? It shows the entire thing. He gets hit, falls to the ground, gets back up, plays decent team defense, jumps off his feet, then gets beat to the basket. You're going to see the whole thing. This was when he was with Team USA, right? Practicing. Boom. You see it gets knocked to the ground, comes back up, right? Just playing good team defense in the passing lane, right? Boom. Shot fake in the air, backdoor cut. Little things like that, he's definitely going to have to work on those type of things. That comes with just playing. One, the strength, right? That's just going to come with getting older and continuing to lift weights and do those type of things. Right, and he'll get better at it. Getting faked. I feel like someone who's really crafty, really smart, will be able to out fake Mitchell Robinson because he wants to go for that block, and that's what young guys do. They want to go for those blocks. They'll be able to throw a couple pump fakes, jab steps. He's going to go for it because he's an aggressive defender. So he's got to learn those things. Really, that can only come with play. You practice it. You can practice certain things. Practice staying on your feet in certain ways, but those are some ways that I think he really needs to develop defensively. All things that you can work on.
Yeah, and his defense though, that wasn't a center that made him fall and stuff like that. It was Kuzma, and that's the only thing that Kuzma scored is because of he's definitely faster than Mitch, on a roll behind and stuff like that. So that I don't think Jokic would be able to do that, but Jokic had other arsenal versus a guy like Mitch and trying to dupe him and stuff like that. So that also, I think Mitch has got to work on those crafty centers that don't even jump up in the air, just those European centers that try to be crafty around the rim, like even a Kanter, a Jokic and guys like that. Sabonis, but that like you said, that's gonna come with experience, playing time, and working out. So,
right, and he'll get it. I think if those things right here, because he has the team, I don't worry about this as much because I think he's gonna get it. The big thing is that he has the team defense. Obviously there's going to be times when he misses rotations. Every player does, but he has that team defense down, and it's just going to get better. He's just going to get smarter. So I think the fact that he has that part down, and he's got to work on, some of the, man-to-man stuff, staying on his feet, getting stronger, blah, blah, blah. I'm definitely encouraged, because all of those things, the staying on your feet is just him being young.
Yeah. It's more mental, right? Than
Right.
more up in the head than whatever. But I think also when you're talking about team defense, is the worst thing for a young guy like Mitch can be that you play defense with 5 guys on the court, right? If one is gonna fail and is gonna lose his guy and stuff like that, I think Mitch is gonna try to cover up for him, right? And that's when he gets in foul troubles. It's not, in the first year he got fouled, duped, and whatever on his plays and his dumb, decisions. This season, most of the fouls he had, from what I noticed, that it was from him getting rotated on a guy like, that Dennis Smith was supposed to, defend, like Kevin Knox was supposed to defend the guy. And he as a good teammate rotated and tried to cover up, but he can't defend 2 guys on the court at the same time. And he was, you saw in his mind that he's torn. Should I help? Should I stay with my guy? And if the record is not good with a team, he's gonna have those ideas, and that's a split-second decision, right? Because if that this is the rule, we're gonna do it like this, then it's really simple. But if he has to choose and make that decision himself, it's like I said, only a split second to make that decision, and it's almost 50% chance to make a cover up for your teammate.
Right.
So
right. And yeah. So as the team gets better defensively, assuming they get better defensively, hopefully you'll see less fouls on Mitch, because he doesn't always have to help out on somebody else's man, those type of things, right? So defensive monster on the way. Defensive monster on the way. Now let's get to some offensive stuff. All right, because this is where, the development really needs to come, right?
I agree.
This is where it really needs to come. He's got it down defensively. Offensively is where he's got to make some things happen. All right, so let's talk about his scoring repertoire first. How much of a scoring repertoire does Mitch have? Well, I guess we'll find out. Right, how does Mitch score the ball? Well, a guard penetrates and dishes to him. And we'll see it on the clip. I'm going to go through it first. We'll see it on the clip. All right, a guard penetrates and they dip it off to Mitch. Putbacks. He gets putbacks. Right, somebody misses, he gets it, boom. On a fast break. Right, either he gets a steal like we saw earlier, he plays the passing lane, he's able to get a steal and get a dunk, or he runs the lanes and somebody throws him an alley-oop or whatever it is. Right, he's able to score on a fast break. And then of course in the screen and roll, and we see it all the time, him playing in the screen and roll, scoring from guys throwing him the oop out of the screen and roll. All right, so, we'll just take a look. If you don't know what these things are, you're new to basketball, you don't know what these things are, you're going to see it now. These are ways that Mitch scores the basketball. None of these ways, or none of them, are on his own accord, right? He doesn't create these things. Well, I guess... when he gets
break points, maybe you can call it.
Yeah.
With defense, but that's the only one.
Exactly. Some of the fast break points, the putbacks, he creates those because he gets a rebound and puts it back. All right, but we've got to work on that. Let's put it like that. You see it here, right? You're gonna see, boom, was that R.J. Barrett? Go to the basket off the screen. He's going to dip it off to Mitch. Mitch gets the dunk. And you're going to see here, who is that? It looks like Elfrid Payton. Mitch gets the rebound, puts it back in. Julius Randle on the break, finds Mitch open. he dunks it home. That's a beautiful dunk, by the way. And then you're going to see Frank Ntilikina with the nice screen and roll. Mitch gets the dunk. And I think one more with Frank Ntilikina. Right? And look, Mitchell Robinson and Frank Ntilikina got a nice chemistry going on, right? They got a nice chemistry going on. So we've got to work on some things with Mitch. Or not we, he's got to work on it. But I'm going to bring this back for just a second, because this is where I want Mitch to. I would like to see Mitch work and learn. All right, so let's go to the ways to develop first, because we went through the ways that he scores, and it's not many. We can add in there getting to the foul line. Not that he gets to the foul line, but he can knock it down from the foul line. Okay, so we can add that in there if we want to. Right, but let's talk about ways that he's got to develop. Okay, I think number one is triple threat and strong ball protection. Right, I think that's the number one. I don't want to say the number one thing he has to do, but one of the main things he's got to do in order to make himself a threat. Right, when we see him at the top of the key, and I don't have these clips, but I'm going to show you where I'd like to see him with the ball in his hands, or learn. Maybe not next year, but start to work on it and learn how to do some things from this area. Because when you see him catch the ball at the top of the key, people back off of him. He's just looking to pass the ball off. He's not going to make a move. He's just going to, hand the ball off or do whatever he's going to do. But he's not going to make a move. He's not going to shoot it. All right, so let me bring this back here. All right, and I'm going to stop it right there. And, people are going to get mad at me and all of that. That's cool. Right, but you see Julius Randle has the ball. You see where Julius Randle has the ball here? I would like to see Mitch learn to operate from this area. People are worried about the three-point shot all the time. Cool, that's good. But I would like to see Mitch learn to operate from here. And you see how Julius Randle caught the ball. He's got it down low in triple threat. So he can see, what's happening out here. What's he going to do with the ball? I don't know. Well, in this play, we know. He gives it to Elfrid Payton, who does a screen and roll with Mitchell Robinson. Right? But when Mitchell Robinson catches the ball here, he has the ball up high. Right? Not looking towards the basket. One thing that I always teach my players is, as soon as you catch that ball, you get in triple threat and your eyes automatically look towards the basket. First and foremost. Why? Because that puts the defense on guard. You look at the defender here. Automatically, the defender's like, I better play defense. Right? So this defender doesn't have time to look around and see what anybody else doing. He's got to pay attention to you. When Mitchell Robinson has the ball, he has the ball up high over his head. And then he's, the defender can just lean back, sit back, watch what Mitch is doing, but also watch what other people are doing. Stop the cutters, jam up the cutters from cutting through the lane and those type of things. All right. I want to see Mitch learn to operate from here. The first step, in my opinion, in doing that is for him to work on that triple threat and protecting the ball. I think it's key. I think that's key. What do you think?
Yeah, it would be definitely easier for him if he could, make that shot. But it's not in his repertoire at this moment. So, and like you said, he's staying basically around there with the ball, above his head. If he would want to do that, and that's with that stance, I think he would have to be a little bit lower. So even around the free throw line, it would be way better. And as we know, Thibs is gonna want him to operate around the free throw line, not a foot into the 2-point range, just a little bit lower than what we saw Randall do in this play.
Yeah, and especially you mentioned Thibs, especially knowing the way that Thibs likes to play and wants to play.
Yeah.
Right, and he's going to utilize players from that mid post, that high post area, to facilitate a little bit, to make a move. Mitchell Robinson has decent footwork. He's already long. If he learns how to operate from that area, he'll get some. He might be able to get some buckets from that area, I think.
Yeah, and to add something, if he would be in the position like we saw Randall in this play, even a play like slipping the screen or whatever, right, and adding, he's going to be too far away from the basket to get that dunk. He doesn't need a few steps to get up, right? He can just basically do it from one step. So if he's going to be, a little bit lower, closer to the basket with the, ball up high, just pass it up, roll, and get that easy dunk that he likes.
Yeah. Another thing, people always talk about is shooting. But I'm going to tell you now, I really do think that he's got to work on his shooting form. A lot of people, a lot of people are always like, oh, he's got good form. He's got good form. He's got decent form. It's okay, but I'm gonna show you something that I think will hinder his ability to make shots in a game. In practice is one thing. In a game, it's something totally different, right? So you can see him here shooting shots. He's shooting threes. Okay, and how do I feel about him shooting the threes? It is what it is. That's the game today. He's going to work on it. Cool. If he can make that shot, he can make that shot. It's all good for me. All right. But I want to show you. I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull up this picture of what I see within his form that I think is a little bit bothersome. So I'm gonna pull it up and let him shoot this shot. Okay, look at his form here when he's at the peak of his shot, ready to release the ball. Okay, you can see, and my marker is gonna cover it a little bit, right? But his elbow comes out just a little bit. It's not too bad, but then his arm curves all the way in, right? You see it curve in. Now that should be, in my opinion, you should have straight, bang. You're here. You got the ball here, and you're ready to let it go. It's like his arm curves over here. I don't know if it's actually in front of his eyes or not. Clearly he must be able to see the basket, so maybe it's not. But to me, what's going to happen, and especially when you're shooting with adrenaline, is that this ball is going to end up curving out this way. And you can see one of his misses. He shoots an air ball way over here, right? Because I feel like he's shooting. He brings the ball here, and then he lets it go. And he's got to let it go this way instead of shooting a straight on shot.
Yeah, and Sim, if I can add something, look at his left hand. That's not the perfect position. You need to be, with the tips of the finger on the ball. He's looking like he would like to slap the ball with a frying pan. It's not going to help you, having control over the ball when it's up in the high speed.
Yeah, and right. And so two things with that, right? Because I see a lot of players have their hand on the ball, and then they let go, and they bring their thumb forward, and it pushes the ball. You don't want to do that, right? You want to keep this hand perfectly straight, and then, because this is your guide hand, right?
Exactly.
This is your guide hand, and then it, boom, pushes off. You push off here, bang, off that guide hand, right? So when you let your fingers off, before you actually let the shot off, now this hand has all the control. This maybe is not guiding the ball anymore. What you want to do is keep that ball right up against here, and then bang, right off that, bang, right off of that guide hand. And maybe you guys could see it. I'll keep this a little lower, so it's right off the guide hand.
Yeah, but also it's like a little bit too low, right? Because it's on the palm of the hand. It should be like around the fingers, and now he doesn't have the full control of it. So
it is. The ball is kind of right on the palm, right there, right on right there on the palm, on the upper part of the palm. So there are some things that I think he needs to work on with the jump shot in order to, not to say that he wouldn't be able to make it in a game. But, just so that you have good form, and when the pressure is on, you're able to shoot the ball well, right? Because, you're going to see that he misses a few of these. Well, at least one of them. I don't know if there's a few of them. I don't know how many he missed. But you're going to see at least one air ball out, right? And I think that's part of it, right? I think that's part of it. Now, when you're shooting in practice, it's easy to go ahead and knock down shots. You know what I mean? I think he has a good flick on the wrist. But when you're in a game, you got adrenaline, you got defenders running at you. You can see that one right there, like really went out, almost an air ball, but it hit the front of the rim, right? And I really do feel it's because of the form, and where he's shooting the ball from. And he's 22 years old. It might be hard to get him to break that habit. What I do with a lot of the kids that I work with, when we got to work on their form, I take one hand, make them keep it behind their back, and I put them up against the wall, and just have them sit up against the wall and hold the ball in their hand, like hold it, like have their palm up with the ball in their hand, and then I have them bring it up here, and then boom, and just do that 20 to 30 minutes before we even start practicing every single day. And then after practice, we do it a few more times, and then have them shoot jump shots close to the basket. Shoot foul shots. Shooting foul shots is a great way to work on your form. So that's one thing that I think he really needs. I think he needs to work on that. While he's working on his jump shot, work on the form. And someone's going to have to tell him, hey, we need to work on this form just a little bit. Get your form right, so that when you get in the game, you feel a little bit more confident shooting the ball.
Yeah, let's hope that's what Woody is doing with him right now, because the reports are that he went, for individual workouts with Mitch down in Louisiana or wherever he is living. So
yeah, and then obviously, as we mentioned, that mid-range jump shot. Okay, I don't need him to shoot a whole lot of them. Just shoot them when it's open. Shoot those shots when it's open.
Yeah, just when you turn around, around the free throw line, when you turn around to the basket, look at the hoop. Maybe you're gonna make 1-2 a game. Not you don't need to take 10 of them. Just take 1, 2. Just to get on that scouting report. Then you can make it, or at least you're gonna be taking them. That can open also the road to the hoop.
Yeah. And so, these three things, I think, if he works on these three things over the summer, gets it stronger, we take baby steps, work on these, add something else next summer. You know what I mean? You don't have to try to add everything all in one summer, because what I don't want him doing is this. All right? That's just my opinion. And look, some of the dribbles look good, nice tight dribbles. Okay, that's cool. Right? But, right, I think you gotta, you're gonna play basketball and have a good time. Cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So when people put this out as if it was a workout, I doubt it was really a workout. He was just in the gym having some fun with some of his friends.
Exactly.
Right? You know what I mean? So, he's playing his own, somebody recorded it. He's just out there having a good time. I don't think they're doing this in their workouts. I highly doubt that's what they're doing in their workouts, whoever he's working with. But if you're going to work on some dribble moves, cool, work on some dribble moves. To me, too many dribbles is a problem. Right? Work on 1, 2, 3 dribbles into the basket.
Exactly.
With my players, we have a limit when we're playing. If you didn't get to the basket, if you got the ball and you started to strike towards the basket, if you didn't get to the basket in 3 dribbles, it's time to give up the rock. Right? We're not going to sit around playing with the ball, spinning, putting it between your legs, behind your back, doing all this stuff while everybody's sitting there watching. You're going to take a couple dribbles, try to get to the cup. If you don't, boom. Obviously, you might, it might end up being 4 or 5, right? Because you might have took 2 dribbles or 3 dribbles to make a nice move, and then 2 more dribbles as you're going straight to the basket. And normally it's going to be, when you go past somebody, it's normally 1 to 2 moves, right? You do 1 move, and then maybe you got to do a counter move, and you get to the basket, right? Once you get to that 3rd move, now you're really starting to push it, to me. Once you get to the 3rd, another counter move, you're starting to push it. And if you're sitting out there like boom, 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 a whole bunch of dribbles, 5, 6 dribbles, and you're just bogging down the offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless you're a really good ISO player.
Exactly.
We saw that with Carmelo, and he actually needed a couple of dribbles to get into rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James Harden's the same way.
Yeah, exactly. But Mitch isn't that. He doesn't have that kind of swag. And he's not that kind of ISO player. So maybe in a couple of years, let's hope we're going to be winning like 72 games a season, and he's going to be able to do that, like Steph Curry, in the late in the games, right?
Right. And so, I feel like let's start with the triple threat.
Yeah.
Let's start with the triple threat and the mid-range jump shot. Let's start there. And then, move on from there. And I'm not saying you don't work on your dribble, because he might need the dribble. He might need it to break a press. If the Knicks are getting pressed, to be the release valve or something like that. So of course you still work on the dribble, but you're not trying to add that into your scoring arsenal right now, because to me, you got to get that triple threat down first, because you can do this, against your friends, when you're the superior athlete. But when you really get some defenders on you, then, you got to have some of those fundamentals, those strong fundamentals down, But look, I don't mind him out there playing with his friends. That's cool. Go out there, have a good time. You got to love the game before you can play the game, at a high level. You got to love it first, and this is how you keep your love up. It's really the other people, us, right, that look and say, oh my God, look at the moves, look at this, look, da-da-da-da-da, when he's really just out there having fun.
Yeah, and I think, if he would try to do it in an NBA game, and, of course, Tibbs will see it, right? I think he could get benched for that. Just for disrespecting the opposite team. For real, I think Tibbs is that kind of the coach that he can get you benched for doing, some knucklehead thing like that. So I wouldn't be surprised.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I would do right now, to help Mitch develop and really start to learn the game. Well, I don't want to say learn the game, but help him develop, especially on the offensive side. He's going to be good defensively. Offensive side is where he's really got to grow. That's how I would go about it.
We could also add here passing, but it's hard to train passing when you're home alone. So it's not going to be a thing. But I think in the probably the preparation, the season, beginning before the season begin, in the training camps, I think he's going to be heavily pressured by guys just to pass up the ball, or to the cutter or through, to the 3-point line, to the corners or whatever. I think Tibbs is going to heavily think about adding that. He probably uses it in his, offensive style play. But I think Mitch is going to have to develop that as well. He passing is not a complicated thing, right? Exactly, especially for a big guy that needs to, just pass up the ball to the corner or up top to the 3-point line, right? But if he would add a little, pass, to the cutter, in the paint or stuff like that, that would be a major thing for Tibbs and for Mitch.
Yeah, and I think that's where that triple threat comes into, right?
Yeah.
Getting that triple threat, strong grip on the ball, and then being able to.
Yeah, because without the triple threat, without the triple threat, he's gonna be only like we said, he's gonna be standing with the ball high up, and he's gonna be passing from that point. It's not gonna be anything else.
Exactly.
And that's gonna limit him, in Tibbs' offense at least.
Right, definitely in Tibbs' offense. That's gonna definitely limit him in Tibbs' offense, but it's just gonna limit him as a player altogether, I think.
Yeah.
Not just for Tibbs, but as a player altogether. He'll just be limited. But look, I'm sure there were some people that thought I was gonna get on here and bash Mitchell Robinson because for whatever reason, some people think that I'm not a Mitchell Robinson fan when the contrary is what's actually true. I'm a huge Mitchell Robinson fan. I really like Mitchell Robinson. Just got a lot of stuff he's got to work on, which is okay.
Yeah, he's a young guy, so nobody's perfect at this age. He's not no Luka Doncic, so we gotta expect from him, some development at least.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's there you go. Mitchell Robinson. Ways that we can develop Mitchell Robinson. And I think it sounds like a good plan, at least for one summer. You know what I'm saying? A good plan, at least for one summer. And all of this, of course, while he's working to build his body.
Yeah. That's also like the basic thing, right? Because center's got to be really strong so he can manage to bump in and stuff like that. That strength for the center position is a really important thing.
Yeah, and we all know that he didn't go to the involuntary workouts and stuff like that. So hopefully during that time they sent him and said, hey, work on some of these things. Gave him what they think he needs to work on, But, Andy, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the time. Another really good show, The Coach's Corner.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's a good one. I guess next week we'll focus on Kevin Knox.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Peace.
Peace.